What is up, car addicts? In this video, we'll be talking about this week's Double Money Event Week as well as the property and vehicle discounts. This event week is for May 26th through June 1st, 2022. The current price ride for this week is the Bravado Yuga Classic. This van is primarily based on the 1969 Ford Econoline cargo van, or in the case of this particular build on the prize ride, the Mystery Machine, which I find absolutely hilarious. Now, its normal price is only $195,000, so it's not an expensive vehicle like we're used to seeing on here. But anyways, to get this car for free, you have to place top 5 in an LS CarMate Series race for 2 days in a row. Now, usually I'm not a fan of the day in a row requirements, but honestly, 2 days in a row isn't bad in comparison to the 5 days in a row they usually put, especially considering you only have to get top 5 in the race. But I think Rockstar did that on purpose. They made it pretty easy because this van's really only $200,000 roughly, so yeah. Now, in terms of performance, the van is very slow. It's not going to be winning you any van races or anything like that. In terms of the test ride vehicles for this week, we have the Jester RR, the Vamos, and the Fagaloa. And for next-gen console players, we have the Sentinel XS as the HSW test ride car for this week. Now, in terms of a casino podium vehicle, we have the Revolter. So this car is primarily based on the Cadillac Escala concept. It has a normal price of about $1.6 million, which is definitely very expensive for a car like this. Now, in terms of performance, this car is in the sports car class and is actually pretty quick considering what it is, being around the pace of the Growler and the VSTR. Plus, it has the pushing power similar to a large truck in combination with its above average acceleration, so it's definitely a fun vehicle to mess around with. So, starting off with the property discounts, we have 30% off the Motorcycle Club businesses, the CEO Crate warehouses, and the vehicle warehouses as well. Moving on to the vehicle discounts, we have 30% off the Granger 3600 LX. So this SUV was a drip feed vehicle from the Contract DLC and was one of the last ones to release. Now, it does have a custom interior that is very similar to its real life counterpart and some decent customization as well, but it is very slow performance wise and drives like every other large SUV in game. Next up, we have 30% off the Vamos, one of the most fun muscle cars to drag race with because of how fast it is. And if you ask me, it's one of the fastest muscle cars for drag racing if you can get that wheelie right. Now, if you're on next gen, I will mention that the HSW Arbiter GT is by far the king in terms of drag racing and wheeling. I mean, it holds the wheelie for a long time and it's just ridiculously fast. But if you're not on next gen, the Vamos is the next best thing. Moving along, we have 40% off the Fagaloa. So this car is in the Sports Classics class and is one of the slowest vehicles in that class, but that's not really why you buy this vehicle. You buy it more for its styling, and I personally like it. I think it's a very classy looking wagon with some decent customization options as well. Moving on to the Warstock website, we have 30% off the Caracara. So this was the original Caracara before we received the better 4x4 version that actually had visual customization, but it's still pretty funny to look back at this old one, which was the 6x6 with a gun on top that you couldn't remove. And for those of you who don't know, this one actually used to be usable in off-road races when it first released, but then Rockstar made it non-raceable after the 4x4 version came out. And lastly, we have 30% off the turreted limo, which is a Pegasus vehicle. Now, personally, I don't see a reason in owning this one. With all the crazy vehicles we have currently online, there's really no reason to own the turreted limo, but if for some reason you've always wanted it, now it's on discount. Next up, in terms of miscellaneous discounts, we have 75% off Imani phone services and 50% off biker supplies. In terms of double money, we have double money NRP on VIP work, MC club work, bodyguard and associate salaries, MOC missions, MC contracts, the deathmatch cart crash, which is pretty fun, the versus mode truck off, which is quite random, and lastly, select adversary modes this week, which are bunker, diamond, missile base, and lastly, a brand new adversary mode called Vespucci Job Remix. So originally we had the normal Vespucci Job adversary modes, kind of similar to the Italian job, but now we have the remix version. I'll definitely going to be trying those out later this week. So definitely a lot of variety overall for this week in terms of double money, but sadly we don't have any on businesses, which is kind of unfortunate. Moving on to the Prime Gaming discounts for Prime Gaming members only. So again, same as the last 6 months or so, the only thing we have is the usual free $100,000 for logging in during the event week period. And lastly, this week's RC Bandito time trial is Davis Courts. This week's normal time trial is Calafia Way. I highly recommend a fast car or one of the top motorcycles for this time trial, or of course one of the HSW vehicles if you're on next gen. In terms of the premium race for this week, we have the supercar race Cutting Corners. I highly recommend either the Emirates or Krieger for this race. And if you're on next gen, the only two you want to be using are the HSW Weaponized Ignis or the Coil Cyclone 2. And lastly, for next gen console users, the HSW time trial for this week is Sandy Shores. As always, the HSW Hakachu Drag will be the best one for these. Every Friday I post a guide on how to easily beat the time trials and premium race, so stay tuned for that if you're new. In terms of my vehicle discount pick of the week, honestly we don't really have any good ones this week, but if I had to pick one, I would say the Vamos. It's a very cool muscle car to own for drag racing, and of course it's great customization as well. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Overall, this event week has a little bit of something for everyone for the most part, but the lack of any businesses on double money is a bit concerning, and the vehicle discounts are pretty poor this week, let's be honest. But I guess that makes sense with all the good vehicle discounts we had last week. Hopefully next week is better, we'll see. And for those of you who don't know, TesFunds2 on Twitter did state that something new is coming to GTA Online in about 2 weeks or so. That was a week ago, so we should get that new something he's talking about next event week, hopefully, or maybe a little bit after that. I'm really hoping to see what we get with that. I'm kind of interested to see. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.